Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. The world's on fire, but we are just in the rain. Welcome to Visual Disturbance, everybody. We're going to be for a laid-back broadcast today. Solar Sabotage Unveiled. Let's get into it. Be a few moments. I'll be right back with you. Let's get it.
Got one that can see.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome everybody to Visual Disturbance channel. Today, Solar Sabotage Unveiled. Welcome everybody to the program. It's been a little while. It's been like of the left side of the screen, right side of the screen. Help us out there at the Con, and I hope the weather will help me out today. I'm having a few little weather issues here out in the good old state of Kentucky. The weather is insane, and it was kind of interesting. Just a second ago, I had a blimp and said that we was almost disconnected. So pray for the broadcast tonight or this afternoon. We have I can't help the weather. I can't change it. But there's somebody out there do. So anyways, welcome to the program here, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I got a few more announcements toward the end of the program, but we're going to talk about it. I'm going to be a little bit low-key, not as interject today. I feel a little bit zapped. Yeah, Craig, thank you for telling me about the buffering, but I think we are good to go now. It's just the weather is pretty wild here in my neck of the woods. So hope everybody can hear me. Thank y'all for being with me. Let's just get into it, okay? Let's jump right on in. Let's make it happen. So, has anybody heard about the solar energy? Okay, solar energy and the industry happening in the last, I don't know, it's been an uptick here lately in the last little bit. Ever since 2020, I will tell you, things have been getting strange. You know, you got power grids going down, you got disruptions in electricity, you got all kinds of different things going on, and, and they're claiming that there's growth in solar development, okay? So my question was, and for everybody out here in the audience here on Visual Disturbance, why is there an uptick? And why is there all these so-called technological advancements? But it's kind of interesting when you look back and you think about Nikola Tesla days and you think about cowboys and Indians, literally. In the 1800s, the late 1800s, we had transformers and telephone poles. And now it seems like we don't really realize that there was free energy for a long periods of time. And I think people are catching up. But there's been a policy shift. I mean, you got a lot of different things, different applications, different situations here in the U.S. In 2024, there was record-breaking 50 gigawatts of a new solar panel capacity, the largest single year additional for the energy technology in the last two decades. So if you think about that, solar accounted for 66%. I thought that was an interesting number. Imagine that. Of new electrical generational capacity added to the grid, which storage contributing another 18%, which was interesting. So it basically totaled out as 84% of solar and storage combined. Well, I'll tell you an interesting story. About a year ago, I was approached There was three individuals, three men come to my door, and they was trying to sell me a solar panel package. Well, it was interesting. They claimed that I was going to get a tax write-off if I go with them today. And I sit there and for a few seconds, I had my redneck ingenuity mindset, and I was thinking, well, two things. I don't have the money to obtain this, nor do I have the means to be able to afford the electrical payment that is going to take into the subscription fee that I'm going to have to pay for the initial installation. And it was really funny. Three men come to my door, had their T-shirts on, their logos and everything, and I know the spiel, I know the gig on the solar panels. And there for a few moments, I said, "Well, what's your enticement on this? Like, what is it? Like, why is it so enticing to sell this? Like, how many people have you had?" I asked them that, and they said they had two or three in the local area, and I seen that. It was pretty apparent, pretty apparent. Well, what was interesting about it is I think it was $15,000 tax write-off. I thought that was but it took, an astronomical amount of money to obtain just to get to that level. So I thought it was really strange, okay? Thought it was really strange. I basically was very kind about my approach whenever they come to my door. Very forceful. They was trying to sell me a box of carrots or some food in their car also with their electrical solar panels. But yeah, I digress. Let me continue. So if you look at this and you think about the solar panels, well, there's a lot of things going on that just happened yesterday. There's a lot of news about it. I was going to do it yesterday, but, I waited around. I was contemplating this, kind of taking my time a little bit. So apparently there's 40 million homes that has been upscaled to this as far as here in the last, since 2024, they're expanding, right? There's a lot going on when it's driven by, strong growth in states like New York, Maine, and Illinois. But I can tell you in the good state of Kentucky, I don't think I want to participate because I'll get into it here in a minute why I think that it's a disaster. So has anybody heard the news? Because I thought this is really interesting. There is something going down with China, right? Of course, there's always something going down. There's always some kind of a psyop or, some type of mind-numbing experiment, and you only get half truth when it comes to media. Well, let's just jump into it. So there's an article here. It's pretty interesting. Let me pull up on screen for everybody so everybody can see it. So supposedly in China, there has secretly installed kill switches and solar panels. So to the west, that's the claim. Well, I thought it was intriguing because, based off what I just spoke to you all about, isn't it kind of interesting that there's this claim that there's solar panel uptick and there's these organizations selling these equipment. And I'm not saying these people know anything about this now or back in the day, a year ago or so. But it's interesting to me that if you read the article here, these solar panels are sold to the west, which could, let's just say, I got to watch what I say on here, but plunge everybody into darkness in this event. There's always you hear about the 3 days of darkness, you hear about all those narratives. It's just like spilling out every which way that you can think of. And to me, when I think about it, I just have to really just focus and pray because this is out of my control. It's out of anybody's control. But there's people that are engineers, there's people that are selling these products that should be a little bit more on their A game, okay? So instead of being, let's just say, a chess piece, they should be able to look into it and navigate. If they're going to sell the product, they should have understanding from A to B to Z, like what mechanics and how their product is going to be helpful to the public. And if there is some type of nefarious kill switch that they claim, why are they making these claims now? And especially in 2025. I think it's a very strange year. I don't know anybody out there. Let me know what you guys think, because I think it's a very bizarre year. A lot of things are coming out where it just seems stranger and stranger by the moment. Well, let's just go here to this next slide. How a kill switch could work. Okay, you got your solar panels, you got your sun, your inverter, your grid. your solar panels, your transmissions, towers, and lines. Okay. And when I think about this, I think about how easy it would be to do something so evil. And what they're claiming, whoever these individuals are, they have to have evil in their mind and evil in their heart. Okay? They have to put people in a bondage to something that's going to be able to, let's just say, implode or damage something. That is pure evil on the highest order. I don't care what world you come from. I don't care what country. I don't care where you place your feet at night. That is evil intentions. If there is anything to this, if there's realization that there is something about a kill switch, and I think it was interesting, this came across, they was talking about this all over online yesterday, talking about this was a concern to national security risk. And I asked myself two questions. Why is it always a blame on something else or somebody? And all these technologies and everything, there's a collaboration here, folks. You have to really think about it. And, I do these shows because I always want people to think, how does something work? How does something flow? Like if you're an electrician, if you're an engineer, if you're a lineman from the electric company, explain to me how this can happen. Well, it's easy, but I want your take. So below into the comment section, please let me know if you are in these field, and this is your occupation. Please let me know how this could happen. Well, here's my take. If you've got a cardboard box on something, it's got tape around it, right? And it looks like it's good for customer, service, right? Or, human consumption or whatever. You don't question it. You just plug it in and you say, I'm doing a service. Why can't somebody go back and say, hey, why is this doing this? When they see this article or even see this show or see everything blasted across the internet, should I question things? Should I go around and look if there is something changed in the brand, in the product that I've been putting out for years now? Is there some type of, indicator that there's a mechanism there that could really do something diabolical? Like, that's my question. I ask myself all the time, like, how come we can't just question what's going on instead of getting gaslit and told just to be quiet? To me, that's strange. And that's evil in itself. So let me think. Here's where I'm at. I thought about this today, and I thought about how you could really, if there was a conspiracy behind this or something to that level, okay? So you have these claims that these Chinese manufactured solar inverters and batteries are reported by Reuters. They're saying that these devices could theoretically enable remote access, manipulation, bypass utility firewalls. And then you look around and you think about security. Well, how does this happen? Well, I'll just be blunt without getting into, too much logistics. Somebody of an evil intention with a lot of money has pushed the button and pushed it and navigated and used people as, let's just say, like I said, alluded earlier, little peasants. And I think that's very wrong and dark. So these rogue devices, you're talking about cellular radios and communications, and these devices would bypass like utility firewalls and enabling remote access, look anywhere. And I think that is wild to me. And we know how technology can be used for good, but here we are. If these claims are real, then that means they could be used for evil intentions. Okay, so experts are warning about these rogue devices could be used to disable power grids, not just the solar panel sense, but power grids, and change inverter settings or triggered widespread blackouts, targeting compromises to inverter capacity of singly disrupting grids, right? As noted in the Solar Power Europe and also here in America, inverter market, they're talking about these different technology companies in China. There's always blaming something on somebody, and I think that's wild to me. I really do. It makes me sad. And as far as just recently, they're claiming there's these certain companies that this all started happening. Reports was around, there's different incidences in 2024 of November and highlighting vulnerabilities, and they're claiming that something to do with Spain and Portugal that you've seen back in April. and there was different things that was penetrated into literally that's what it's claiming. That's what it says. Uh, I guess these mechanisms and applications was compromised. Okay. So if you think about it and you think about the Department of Energy and you look at this, it's so-called, there's a term called software bill of materials. Okay. And it's involved in Lithuania or European countries, and has been banned remote access to China. There's always a war going on, it seems, okay? Behind the veil, right? There's always some kind of interesting strangeness when let's just say the normal population, what's left of the normal population, are questioning things, and then there's some that are just in a stasis of sleep, and they think everything is good. Unfortunately, that is the truth, and I used to be in that state. I used to be I'm not putting down on anybody in any shape or form, but I used to be in that mindset. I used to be. So if you look around, you think about this and connectivity, you think about different applications with what this could do, okay? And then right now, as I speak, we're having horrible weather, okay? And I just talked about this on our platform the other night when we was talking about this whole rogue crew using weather manipulation. And it makes you wonder, that's for a whole nother broadcast, but it makes you wonder if really something's going on here that we're missing. And I can tell you right now, if you're in my neck of the woods or anywhere down the Ohio Valley and in the Indiana area and all down Kentucky, I mean, literally like 99% of Kentucky, we're getting blasted today. And, hell ball size, egg shaped. I thought it was interesting. The local meteorologist, like eggs. That's been a big talk too in the UFO phenomenon, right? We got eggs in the cracks. We got eggs in the mountains. We're extracting eggs. We're talking to the UFOs. It's a clown show, folks. It really is. If you really just sit back, get you a cup of coffee, get you some water, and really focus on things that really matter instead of things where people are just telling you the eggs are rolling down the street. I'm getting an Apache helicopter. I'm going to extract and get it. It's kind of, we're living it. We're beyond the Twilight Zone. If you was back in the day and watching the Twilight Zone, you would think, man, what realm are we living in? Pa, you could imagine now, like in the back in the day, Pa, will this ever be? Oh, son, this is just for entertainment purposes only, and now we're living in the age of entertainment purposes only, I guess, with mass mind control. Let me get a drink of water there. Forgive me, but all right, let's continue on. So I had to think about all this. I had to really process if these things could be something that could be hidden. Okay. So I see the enticement on the solar panels. Okay. I'm not saying there's anything, I'm not against it. I think it's interesting and anything solar panel, but I think that there's a twist to it. Okay. I don't think solar panels are the ones that they're claiming are good, maybe are not good. I can't validate that, but it does make me wonder, like, where they're coming from and who's manufacturing them. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just making an observation. The solar panel energy industry supports over 250,000 jobs, and it's growing 167% over the past decade, and 5 times faster than the overall U.S. economy, according to California leads, and Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. I thought it was interesting, those particular states, and Texas leads since 2024, and then followed by California and Florida. So it's kind of an uptick, and they're claiming there'll be like a huge advancements of solar panel energy by 2035, and then in different best case scenarios, 27% by 2050, and with lower renewable cost according to the account. Okay. So, this is evolutions, right? These innovations are talking about emerging technologies like floating solar farms. Have you ever heard of those? Those are interesting. Blockchain, peer-to-peer energy trading could transform this sector. It's very interesting. Indeed. Let's continue on here. Forgive me, I was watching the internet go in and out. I hope there's no buffering no more. And forgive me, like I said, I cannot change the weather. So, okay. So the first thing I thought about today, And you know, I always put these in shows or we talk about certain particular things that let's just say on a conspiracy level or go bump in the night. So let's just say a hypothetical. Let's just say that if there's a conspiracy narrative, let's just say that there's been infiltration. Let's just say that there's some wickedness going on. There's anything to this story. Could you imagine the like literally widespread blackouts? Could you imagine the disruptions of, in our, as far as in our area, agriculture, everything? I mean, it would literally be, let's just say, unbelievable changes. I mean, this would disrupt massive, massive, massive disruptions in our reality. I mean, it really would. And, you look into all these different trade wars and all that. You got to think about that and take that in accountability. You got to really think about the angle where they're headed. Are we going through this new world order? Or however, let's just say the people that are in power that are so strange. These characters, I joke around. Today I'm not really joking around. I'm kind of in a low tone, calm state, trying to be just trying to get the information out. I'm kind of tired a little bit, but all is well. All is well. But could you imagine, though, like, just thinking about it in a way, like, these men, whoever these people are, these power trip individuals, you see all that stuff that went down, and it starts with a W, three-letter facility, I guess, or the people that power, that's over there in the East. We all know nothing, that drama, all that stuff that was online. It was just ridiculous, and it reminds me of James Bond or some kind of sick, twisted, it's just comical, right? It's beyond comical anymore. I mean, how can we listen to people that partake in that? Let's just say let's just say it starts with W, and they had a guy that talks like this, and I will control you. I mean, come on, really, come on. It's just insanity. It's so bad that words I can't even get the words out to speak about what that individual was. And we have an individual, I have to watch what I say, that is part of these things. There's people that are still involved in these organizations and stuff. And it's just strange to me that you can watch somebody up to that so-called stature, a little bit of leader, and the leader is like doing wicked things and behind closed doors. He's been online, talked about it. I mean, you could see stuff that I don't even want to talk about it. It's just so sick and vulgar. And that's wicked to me. Like, how does people get by with this? How does it happen? Where are we at? Like, the reality is that we are not in Kansas anymore, like, on the Dorothy narrative of the Wizard of Oz. And speaking of not in Kansas anymore, I want to talk about something. A lot of people don't really think about this much. A lot of people scoff when I bring it up, hey, you can't talk about Bible, you can't talk about anything, just be quiet, Brian, move on, and I think that's disrespectful, in some shape or form. But I will show you something here, and I think it's very timing, especially when we're living in the world we're living in, and when you think about certain things that are just not, well, it just seems very strange and fake, right? And it's just weird to me. So let's get into this. I'm going to show you something real quick. And this is biblical narrative. A lot of people get mad if I posted anything about Thoth or the Emerald Tablets and was talking about the Akashic Records. I use an impersonation, an accent like in the Akashic Records, and it's just interesting, wordplay, right? People get all like, oh, the Akashic Records, they're soling now. We're hacking into the realm of the sky gods. I'm not making this up. I was listening to a so-called, well, I wouldn't say I'm not scoffing at the individual, but I listened to a broadcast last night, and they was talking about CERN, and they was talking about CERN, and this individual's been, on this podcast. He comes in, he doesn't show his face. He always audio, and talking about there was a CERN Not only was there CERN on the ground, which we all know is in Geneva, Switzerland, there's a CERN above in the sky, in the airways, and it controls our minds. And the guy was like, going back and forth, and their own communication, the particle accelerators, and the way when you put emphasis, so much emphasis, when you're speaking in a way and saying, the Akashic records or something to that level, and it's just you put so much emphasis on how you speak it. It makes me laugh if I say Akashic records. If I say it real low key, Akashic records, it's not so powerful. But the Akashic records have so much knowledge, and humans are plugging into it and becoming gods. I mean, seriously, that's what they're claiming. And people with any kind of cognitive ability and peace about them, and thinking about where we're at, who we are, how God made us, as far as He made us special, right? So when you look at this verse on the screen here, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to know. I really want to hear what you have to say about this, because there's a lot of controversy when you bring this up. So Ephesians 6 verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So a lot of people just, I've heard many sermons on this, many biblical discussions on this, and they'll just say that's just, figurative language, but when you think about flesh and blood, and you break it down, okay, and you look at the human's concept and there's these entities that are involved in this. The term wrestle evokes a close, intense struggle, like, a wrestling match, or implying, maybe let's just think of like a personal ongoing battle, right? And when you think about the emphasis on this and what Paul was trying to write, and you think about persecute some people, false teachers, false prophets, pagan stance, the unseen forces, right? And then directly when you focus on human adversaries to the spiritual realm, and this is where people get lost in transitions. It's like, hey, you're thinking about believers, or you're avoiding hating or fighting people directly, but then you look into like thinking about really what it is on a theological insight. Like you're thinking about Jesus, you're thinking about godly principles, godly applications, and you're thinking about when you're really thinking about the real enemy, the unseen realm, right? The non-human, you have different things to, let's just say, principalities, right? The literal meaning referring to ruling authorities, high-ranking spiritual beings, like often understood as like angelic or demonic entities with authority over specific domains. And doesn't it make you wonder where we are today in our world? There's locations that you can't go to in America, and there's people like losing their minds. They're running down the street either in the nude, jumping on top of cars. There's certain places that you can't go at night. There's different, and people are in a erratic state. And you see this on the news that it's the solar mass injection, or the sun has blowed up, and the coronal mass injection. We have the sun has blew up, and now we got a hole, and it's directly going right toward Kentucky, Indiana. I mean, they'll make up all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm just making up stuff right there, but they'll make commentary like that. It's being directly navigated toward the America, or India, or Australia, or Hawaii, or whatever, right? And if you ever think about it, it puts you in fear, right? There's floods come, right? Or you got preparation, you got the earthquake, and then all of a sudden, guess what? Everybody starts raiding the grocery stores. They start fighting people over canned food. Don't you touch my favorite canned food. I'm entitled. I go to the door. Once I show up, the red carpet rolls out. And to me, that blows my mind. You know what that is? We've been spoon-fed too much. We've been given too much. We're all little entitled little children. Seriously, we never was told. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but the people that act like that with that mentality, I'm an entitled little individual. I'm going to be when I grow up. So I'll, when you get to the shopping cart, you see it on Black Friday. I haven't been to a Black Friday event in a long time. People freaking out. They see a skid. I call it skids here in Kentucky, but it's pallet. Let me pronounce the words properly. Pallet. A pallet with 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 1,500 pounds of product on it, and people will rate it and basically strip their clothes off to get it, and it's insanity. So you think about demonic control, principalities unseen. So when you hear people talk about, we have sun opened up, we have one above us, they are coming for us. I mean, seriously, these are people that are supposedly believers that are high, like, let's just say have military presence and different things like that. I'm not trying to discredit them, but I've never heard that until last night. There was a CERN, supposedly a particle accelerator above us, and it's blasting us and it's communicating with CERN. I've looked at particle accelerators. I've looked at the hadron colliders that we have. I've seen over 30,000, 30,000 so-called altogether particle accelerators as of 2014, and they all communicate with CERN. So you have to think about networking in this, it's all interconnected lock, okay? But I never heard of one, you have one above your sky, above your head, it's all controlled, and it's like, that one baffled me. But when you look at this verse and you think about authority, right? You think about the forces that delegate authority, okay? These operating in a spiritual realm, because guess what? We're here, right? We're here. Let's be good. Let's be good people. Why can't we do this anymore? Why can't we be good? And I see people online all the time. I give up on the world. I don't feel real anymore. I mean, I see all these different things. These people that are my age, younger, older. I just give up. I can't live anymore. And this is what this verse applies to. There's things that are living around us. Heck, even the CIA, these three-letter agencies, the government has done documentation. We've done many programs talking about the Moreau Institute. All these different facilities and these organizations, they all knew that there was a veil, there was demonically controlled spiritual applications. It's not something to do, like we're talking about flesh and blood here. Yeah, it's not, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, because guess what? If they started showing up, in droves, down in the street, hey, we got a giant coming down the road. Oh, that was all figurative, because they told me that in church that doesn't exist. And he starts ripping the top of the cars off and turning your let's just say your Dodge Charger into a convertible. And you're like, man, I can only go so fast. And this guy's up on top of my vehicle. He's about 15 foot tall and bulletproof. What am I going to do? And people would be erratic. It would be pandemonium in the streets. See, but they're coming at a different angle now. These applications, these AI mechanisms, and this principalities, wickedness, and darkness, they're coming in different angles. They're claiming that the Akashic records, we've been involved, the NASA and all these different there's people that are all involved in this, and saying we're getting little information nuggets, and we're becoming this superior authority. We're becoming the gods of old, like the Bible. We are going to perceive the Bible. We're going to be beyond what Adam and Eve was. And that boggles my mind. That boggles my mind. How come you can't be just a kind individual? Like, what does it take? Money and power and gold and silver, and you're going to damn your soul. I hate to use that term, but you're going to damn your soul for a pot of gold. And you're going to act like that's okay? So you're willing to sell out for something that was alien, that was made by fallen tech, and you're willing to give it all up for the divinely soul that was given and breathed into your nostrils. You're willing to give that up. You're willing to give that up for just vanity. You're willing to give it up. And these people are like, I will control the humans. I live forever. I don't want to hear it. It's insanity. And so moving on. I've been digressing too much there. So you look into the interpretation of this, okay? And then you like a lot of, when these terms are described as heresy of demonic forces or evil spirits under Satan's command, okay? And I would agree, okay? And I'm not going to get into different theological stance, but I will say these entities do have influence on world affairs. They're tempting people. They're trying to see what we're made of. It's like Predator on steroids. You remember the movie back in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator? But see, Predator shows himself. He takes his clothing or his cloaking mechanism device and turns it off. And he says, man, dang, you looking ugly, boy. You like 8-9 foot, man. You looking like a lizard, like, bug. but you can throw me across the room or throw me across the woods and, you know, let's just say carnage. But what I'm getting at is like, if these things truly showed us if they showed us and manifest in front of, and like the Peruvian people that was, getting tortured there, remember that? And the face peelers. If you truly seen that in real life, you would have a heart attack. Like people, the Bible says men's hearts will fail them looking after things come upon the earth. You think about that and you really articulate like, hey, what if that did happen? And then now you have documentation. There's documentation that I haven't never disclosed on this channel that talk about military applications. And they know darn well what they did. They knew darn well how to navigate. And there was different, let's just say, not sonar. There was different things picking up with, night vision, etc. But they know darn well with these so-called dominions, these so-called thrones that you see on the screen here with this particular verse. And it's just interesting to me when you look at like, for example, I don't have the verse here, but also you look at some insight here on Daniel, the book of Daniel, talking about 10:13 mentions the Prince of Persia. And you literally think, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just the Prince of Persia. He's sworn a sword around. But it's a spiritual entity. It literally is a spiritual application of an entity. And you could say physical, embodiment, or, going into somebody or whatever. But there's some very dark rulers going on here. And I'll continue on. Okay. And I just want to tell everybody, plug it in here real quick. I thank you all for pretending with me this afternoon. It was an impromptu program. I didn't even advertise it. Okay. So thank you all. There's like 45 people in the chat. Thank you all for being here on this beautiful, rainy, dark day of death and destruction with egg-shaped hail balls and golf balls and tsunamis and vortexes and whatnot. Let's just throw in the hurricane. Okay, 75 an hour plus winds, according to the meteorologists. They get a kick around here. They get all excited when they see the 75 mile an hour winds. Forgive me. I'm gonna stop there. Anyways, so when you look at this and you think of rulers, okay, a rare term, it's implying powerful entities dominating the present age. And then darkness of the world refers to the moral and the spiritual ignorance of the world apart from God's light. And you think about John 8:12, you think about 1 John 1:5-6. There's different all kinds of scriptures you can apply to this application. And then you look at these rulers have spiritual forces promoting sin, deception, right? And you see it all over the place. You can go on different platforms and different social media platforms, and the stuff is inundated everywhere. It's like it's social engineering. I mean, you have MK Ultra on steroids, and people are claiming it's good. Okay, so when you get to that point, you claim that it's good for consumption, it's good for entertainment, it's good for your poor eyes to see, and you think that that's good for your soul. You think it's rich, you think it's soul, you think it's prospering you. Then I would go back and double check where you stand if you think it's fun or entertainment. I think you need to check on how bad you're deceived, because nobody's got it right. Look, I'm not nobody. I'm just a man trying to shine a little light in this dark world and fight against these things that I'm talking to you about in a spiritual sense. Because a physical sense, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I can't do anything. I can't do anything. So, and will I ever try? Because that's wicked. Because God's supposed to fight the battles. I'm not supposed to be fighting against these, in a physical form and acting like I'm gonna be Rambo. That's insanity, and that's not what God would want. But we do have to put a fight up when it comes to power of prayer and putting your full armor of God on. When it comes to spiritual, we're strong spiritually. We're strong together, strong to understanding. When you have that walk of spiritual application, God be for us, nothing can be against us. There's no weapon formed against us that shall prosper. What we're talking about today, when you look at these things that we referred to earlier about the certain China and these solar panels, would be, let's just say, weapons that would be used against us in a nefarious way. And when you look at the promotion of sin, and you look at this darkness, when the word darkness here signifies the fallen state of the world, which we all know when we've watched this program on visual disturbance or other different applications, we have to check ourselves. We have to get our head right. And a lot of people would think, well, Brian, it's probably for nothing. Like, you need to just stop talking about it. Well, tell me if I'm wrong. Prove me if I'm wrong. Go and look. There's demonic demons that used to be in books that Aleister Crowley used to talk about and summon, and all these other cats. And I use that term because that's my Kentucky slang. That they would literally communicate with beings. Then when they do a little, let's just say astro trip, Akashic record narrative, take a little LSD, they would transcend to an altered state, and they would communicate directly to these individuals or entities. And there was books written on them thousands of years ago, and there was all kinds of other names written in, heck, it's even in our entertainment industry. So tell me if I'm crazy crackers, because it's Crazy Stale Crackers. That's a new one I'm going to say on Visual Disturbance. Usually I say a little spray, make it go cray cray. Now it's Crazy Stale Crackers. So it just blows my mind that we have to get to a point where the discernment meter is very low. And forgive me if I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying in general, I've been here, and I continue to fight all kinds of physical things, vision issues, etc. But when you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, and you look and you think about, really, how does these things get implemented into our society through tech, right? There's these if you look at particular names and demonically names, they're embedded into coding. How did they get into coding when it comes to websites and computer applications? Well, that's a whole nother broadcast in itself. So when you look at the fallen state and you think about, temporary things of Satan, I would throw out this 2 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians 4:4, and then 1 John 5:19. So if you think about this and you look at the cosmos, right? You look at the cosmos of all this. A lot of people, when the Greek, talking about cosmos, the order system opposing God, not the physical earth. I'm still referring to this Ephesians 6. And when you look at the Christianity, and you look at different societies, and you look at different civilizations, and these people that didn't even believe in Christianity, they would literally communicate with little Yoda characters and run around with javelins and sticks and everything, and run down through the fields trying to grab little gremlins, little green men that run around in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. That was, for example, back in the 50s. And it's just interesting to me that we can't explain it. Well, we can't explain it. We don't. Those things was there written down in other extra books or anything that man's written down. We should go back and observe it and articulate this. Say, hey, if those things was going on 2,000, 5,000 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 2 years ago, or 2 minutes ago, shouldn't I apply it now to 2025 of May of 16th? Shouldn't I apply it now instead of being complacent and then having cognitive dissonance in your mind? It's time to wake up. It's time to get calm. It's time to literally focus on spiritual things and just enjoy life. These things that I'm talking about today are pretty scary. That doesn't mean you have to give up. That doesn't mean that you go around and you watch a TikTok video or watch a social media platform that somebody convinces you just to give up because life's not worth living anymore. It's lost its savior. They think that. They think that's lost their savior and their savior. So people get really displaced, and there's like defragment in their mind, and that makes me sad. It makes me super sad. So when you look at this and you think about the forces, these powers that be, right? You think about adultery, you think about, evils, injustice, or something to that level, right? These high places, spiritual wickedness. It really is. And I really just wanted to share that today because, I'm not Nikola Tesla. I'm not that type of person. I've been told, not to brag. I don't like bragging or boasting, but I have been in the past. People would say, man, you have an engineer's mind. If I do, I've never had that documented on paper, and nobody's gave me that t-shirt and said, hey, you got an engineer's mind. But it was kind words. Okay. And when you articulate things and try to figure it out, I think it's interesting when there's certain gifts. Certain people have certain abilities, and I don't claim to be anybody, but I'm just, like I said a minute ago, I'm just trying to get through this darkness that's in this world and navigate through all the wicked applications. And I'll say this like I say it many times. Be joyful. Be joyful. Pick up, when the Bible talks about picking up your loins and, like you're going to battle. Fight in a good way. Don't go around acting like the person at, your local brick and mortar store, taking a shopping cart full of, let's just say, whatever type of groceries or something they pick up and use the shopping cart as a weapon because they can't get to the skid or the pallet to get their food because the media has told them that it's going to be 4 days of darkness, 3 days of darkness, 24/7 darkness, 25 years of darkness, and we all have to go to Mars. Yeah, that's how bad it is. And there's my little sarcasm. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So at the bottom of the screen, do you believe in conspiracies? That's been up there a few days, a few weeks. Right beside the SpiracyCon QR code there. Do you believe in conspiracies? And I think that's where we're at. I think they defragmented us so bad. We have agencies and here comes the Men in Black. You remember those guys, right? Could you imagine if the Hollywood narrative had never happened, like all the movies? I remember when I was a kid, and I had a awesome childhood. I was very blessed. We didn't have much. My dad really poured out his heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears to provide for me to have clothes on my back and a roof over my head, and even in enough food to get me sustained. And when you think about all God's blessings and everything that He just truly has blessed us with, those things, do not take those for granted. And that song, I'm talking about precious memories. Remember the precious memories. Don't give out. Don't give up. Don't give in to these people that are persuaders of saying, give up. I'm here for my 1 minute show on social media. I've lost all cognitive ability and I'm worried. Humans are fake. Everything's fake. I watched that today. AI is real. I'm not kidding you. That's where we're at. I just watched that today. I watched a 1 minute video and it was just really weird. And it makes you wonder, like, have we been infiltrated on a spiritual level? When I was talking about Ephesians 6, as people have been infiltrated into the realm. And when you think about Mark 5, and it says there was legion in the man, he was living in torment. Have we been hijacked in that capabilities? Has people just lost their wit? Talking about free will, right? That everything is being ingenuitive, tongue tied there, but engineered to push you to navigate away from your free will. Have you ever thought about that? Speaking of conspiracies, but yeah, I'm getting real quick, not to go just jumping back and forth, but God bless my dad. God bless him. I know he doesn't watch any of my shows, but God bless him. And he's going through some things, but yeah, God bless the man. And but yeah. So those precious memories, hang on to those. And getting back to the little rant I was going on, could you imagine if Hollywood had never existed? And I couldn't be like, hey, what was the TV show as kids? Hey, I'm Barney. Hey, kids. Or like, G.I. Joe from back in the day, or, Cobra Commander, and then we resonate with it as kids. We buy toys, mom and dad, they want everybody to have all these Christmas gifts and all this vanity and Teenage Mutant Ninja, all this stuff, right? Star Wars and Jedi, all this stuff, right? And so it's incorporated into our culture. It's pop culture, right? So those things is what I was alluding to earlier. Those things is what those are what those things are. Like, we've lost our way, like, and we apply those now into our existence. And to me, that's strange. Like, when I take a step back, and I'm not a look. If you watch this stuff or whatever, so be it. I'm not going to condone you, okay? But it's just interesting that these things, if Hollywood didn't exist, what would we know then? And then we would turn to the things that I referred to earlier, like back in the day before Hollywood, Hollywood basement and all the other drama came into our existence. People would be going back and looking, hey, look, don't go there. There's the giant of the woods. Now you're saying it's all folklore and mythological stance, and that was the Greeks, and that was just a bunch of men making up a bunch of stories, And then we don't know where the T-Rex came from, but we don't know where the dinosaurs come from. But daggone, man, you go back in all kinds of civilization, they was talking about giants everywhere, but you can't find T-Rex anywhere. Can't find them dinosaurs up until like the 1800s. Used to be dragons. Bible talks about dragons, but I guess now you just have to sit back in limbo land, and it just makes my mind hurt sometimes. Like when I think of it, like, yeah, Craig, G.I. Joe, real American hero, and to me, the displacement of your mind, when the Bible says, come to him like an innocent child, right? Well, the world is so, he's talking about the wickedness of this world is so driven. It's so driven to take you away from that childlike faith. It really is. And what a dang shame, man. What a darn shame. And when I think about living, breathing, having this ability just to even be able to speak still. And I will say this, and a lot of people don't know this about this channel. People scoff at me, they mock me, they ridicule me. They're like, man, why's he got them glasses on? Why they got them glasses? It's insane. It is insane. And I almost died in 2019. I want everybody to know that. I almost died. And I think about having the ability to live and don't take things for granted. And when you have an accident, when things happen, you wake up, all these things I talked about on this channel or anything I've ever done as far as, podcasting, whatever, all this stuff I've been studying since 2008, 2009. And when you have an altering, changing event that changes your paradigm shift, you can't do the things you used to do, or you can't navigate through the world like you thought that's what you want, that's what you did, your occupation, everything gets ripped from you. And now fast forward to 2025 and Brian, Brian, are you just crazy? And I just think that is just, for somebody to have that wickedness and hate and just to scoff and make fun and mock, but you'll watch the individual that says life is over. I will take everything from you and give you the bugs, and you'll lay down your life and bow before that creature, whatever that man is, or if he even is one. But you'll scoff people like me or somebody that, that really do try to endure to the end. People are in wheelchairs. I see it all when I get out. I hate when people make fun of people. I hate it. Man, it drives into my blood pressure. I don't have blood pressure issues, but it gets my blood pressure going when you make fun of a blind man or make fun of a handicapped person or somebody in a wheelchair or somebody that doesn't have, that has an infirmity, or mocks them over their clothing or mocks them over their, whatever, if they can't even hardly afford a bottle of water, and you'll get your phone out and film them. What a disgrace of reality you are. Because you had the gall to mock and scoff and then put it up on TikTok or social media to get likes and views and make money, monetization off of somebody's infirmity. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? For real. I've seen this many times when I was working in my milk route. One time, see, I'm a good old, well, a lot of people make fun of me because of my accent, but I'm from Kentucky. I come from the sticks, man. I come from the hollers of Kentucky, and I'll never forget it. But I seen a man one time had a seizure. I was driving my milk truck. I pull over to help this individual, and I seen women and men get their phones out and laugh at him. And I yelled and screamed at him, if I get across that road, I'd take those phones and chuck them across the street and blast them into oblivion, those cell phones. And I said, call 911, do something. And there was this woman, and this other man got a hold of him and tried to assist before I could get to him, because I'm trying to park my truck and run over to him. And I'm screaming at the people filming. How sick that is. How sick that is. You know why our world's so jacked up? Because of that right there. You think you're empowered because you have fallen technology in your palm of your hand, Ephesians 6, verse 12, and you think you're a little soldier going around doing something evil with your mind, your heart, and broadcasting that crap all across the airwaves just to make money and mocking individuals. Sick, demented, evil. Your soul is like tarnished. You're borderline touch and reprobate mindset when you have that mentality. And how dare you? So I'm a big advocate for somebody that has had issues or had anything happen to them. I don't like it. Everybody in this world, in our human existence, people mock and people gossip. I get it. Something that's been tuned into our genome. Okay, there's just something about it. Okay, especially in Kentucky, if you get a new window, if you go and buy, they see you at the store, you buy a T-shirt, they want to know how you bought that T-shirt, how much money it cost you. If you got the clearance section, they still mocking you. They still mocking you. Ephesians 6, dominions. They are controlled by little puppet masters that they cannot see. And that's straight up facts. It's horrifying. That is demonically assisted. And the free will, listen, it's like little Pinocchio on a string. And people don't care. People don't care. They give themselves over to things that will subject them to things that they think they have self-gain in. They get pleasure of the lust of their flesh. They like to be entertained and enjoy watching people suffer. And I cannot ever sit there and I would never do it. I might have done it when I was young, like a teenager or something, because I just didn't know no better, but I barely did it a few times. And guess what? Those moments in time, I remember everything. Thank God my brain and everything's intact to where I remember everything. And I cannot stand for that. So if you're coming here just to bash this channel or bash me or bash whoever's in the chat, if you're just here to be a troll and your existence is to make monetization off of poor people that can't either afford things or blast them because they have an infirmity, I would suggest you stay subscribed, because maybe you might learn a thing or two, and maybe you might wake up from your disobedience of reality, that you think that you're superior and your little, I am the chosen one, that kind of stuff. So I guess hopefully you'll turn away from your wickedness and get your head right, because that's wicked. That's deceitful. And I didn't mean to go on a big rant, but speaking of solar Sabotage Unveiled, I would say that I covered all the basics when it comes to electricity and solar, and a little bit of spiritual application too. And, but yeah. Be the change you want to see. There's a YouTuber out there that I follow for years. Be the change you want to see. And he'll go, no. I think it's the Rex Project, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to him. He's hilarious sometimes. Well, all the time, really. He goes, And, but anyways, I just want to get on here, talk to you. Keep your head on a swivel. And, watch out for solar farms. Watch out for solar energy. Watch out for men trying to tell you, you'll get a $15,000 write-off if you come and sign up right now, brother. I love when people, I love when people use the sell tactic of trying to manipulate or navigate or use any kind of inkling to sell something. The way they'll do it, they're tactical, right? So just be mindful of that. Watch out for the kill switches. Keep it fresh, keep it real. There's a certain golden arches to stay away from the happy, you know what? And but don't forget, little spray make you go cray, and I think that's what's happening between all the elemental spirits and the stoichion and the things that go bump in the night and the Nephilim spirits that roam the earth because of the flood of Noah. We have really lost our way as society, and I pray that if you hear this broadcast and you're thinking, man, I am that person that mocks and scoffs. Well, there is a way out of that, because guess what? Everybody is subjected to be foolish. Everybody has wickedness in their heart. Okay, if I got on here and said that I was the perfect man and I did everything right, that would be the biggest liar in the world. And I would never do that. So I hope everybody's safe. I hope the new Mandrid fault line doesn't break. I hope the antennas don't explode. I hope we don't have hurricane force winds. I'm praying that the Ohio Valley and my neck of the woods will be supernaturally protected, because I know that a lot of people are struggling and, going through it. There's people going through it right now, financially and everything. And I can totally relate. And I'm praying. But before I turn this show off, before I conclude, I got something to tell you guys. It's kind of exciting. So today, my friend John Pounders will be going live. But here's the kick. He's going to be Facebook Live. Ask me anything with John Pounders. He's going to be on there at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Check him out today on Facebook Live, John Pounders Live. The description at the bottom of this video, description below, has the link to Facebook to follow him on Facebook. If you haven't followed him on Facebook, we really appreciate that. Check him out. And also check out the links below for SpiracyCon website. Check out the SpiracyCon Facebook page. Tickets are still on sale for all that. We really appreciate that. If y'all come and check it out in August of this summer, we'd like to have you. Check all that out. But yeah, John Pounders will be live. So check him out on Facebook here this afternoon. Hopefully the weather permits it. Hopefully we won't have no issues along the way. And we go from there. So, and I appreciate that. AAO. I appreciate that, my friend. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for your kindness there, and bless you for that. But yeah, keep it fresh, keep it real, and go check out John Pounders. And we got a lot of exciting things happening. And John will be live on Facebook. I don't think he's been live on there, so it's a treat for everybody. So check him out in a few hours. Hopefully the weather won't come down in hurricane egg-like shape, and keeps the electricity going, so he has a good broadcast. And so everybody's asking me in the chat what time. 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out John Pounders. The link is in the below. It's right below the SpiracyCon and some of the links for my stuff there. So check that out if you get an opportunity. And SpiracyCon is going to be a really good event. We got some other speakers that they're going to announce with that here very, very, very soon. You'll look forward to that, because it's going to be a treat. It's going to be in August. I had to get a little swig of water. And I hope everybody has a blessed day. My eyes are hurting, and I think I'm going to bounce off of here. But check all that out. If you get an opportunity this afternoon, it'll be on John Pounders Live, not on Now You See TV. It'll be on John Pounders Live on Facebook. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for being with me and attending with me this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you are on this good old face of this earth. And so I want to tell you real quick, big shout out to Conspiracy Guru. Speaking of travel and all that, does anybody know who Conspiracy Guru is? I told you so. That guy that sings all those songs that are really interesting and eventful. Actually, he got in contact with me the other day, and he's in another country right now. And hopefully I will try to get him on the show. I haven't asked him directly that question, but I hope I will be able to get him on the show because this last Tuesday, I'm sorry we didn't have a special guest Tuesday, but hopefully I'll get to line something up with a special guest Tuesday and have Conspiracy Guru on. That would be absolutely epic, because he could be like, I told you so, the rocking out to that. So that'd be kind of neat to be able to pull that off and have a little fun here on Visual Disturbance channel. So I'm an hour in. I thank you all for attending with me this afternoon. I hope this is a blessing to you on this broadcast. And hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate y'all being with me so much. And I thank you all for always being here. So what a blessing it is, an honor it is to walk this out, and you all being with me. There's a lot of people here that has been with me since the beginning, and I thank you all so much for always being here and staying subscribed and follow me through this journey that I'm on. And what an honor and a privilege it is. And I thank you all, and I really do pray that you all have a lovely day and a good evening. And just keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel, and watch out for those. Those entities that run around here that go bumping at night like Stranger Things. And don't watch too many Hollywood movies and defract your brain to a level to where you can't cognitively focus in our reality, because I think that's what's happening. A lot of people are getting displacement in their brain. So with that being said, visual disturbance, keep it fresh, keep it real. I will see you all on the next one on visual disturbance. But thank you all again. Be safe out there. See you on the next one.
I've got one that can see.